He called her prey. 30 seconds later, he couldn't feel his own legs. Black Maw Correctional Spire wasn't a prison so much as a forgotten wound floating above a cracked moon. Everything inside it hummed, rattled, or leaked. Bolted walkways creaked overhead. Rusted rails trembled. Flickering lamps cast long sickly shadows that crawled over metal cages and barred corridors like starving insects. Humans didn't get sent to Black Maw. Not unless someone powerful wanted them erased quietly. Which was why every inmate stopped talking the moment she walked in. The new arrival stepped through the pressure gate with no cuffs, no escort, and no visible fear. A girl barely 17 by human count, short dark hair shaved on one side, wrapped in a gray inmate shift that looked 3 sizes too large. A strip of dark braided fiber circled her wrist like a forgotten bracelet. Her eyes tracked nothing, everything, then nothing again. Her file tag flickered above her head, glitching from poor reception. Inmate, Ria Kovár. Origin, redacted. Threat index, uncalibrated. Around her, voices whispered in low, greedy tones. That's the deathworld brat. Small. Quiet. She'll cry the first night. The guards never corrected any of them. They didn't care. Black Maw ran itself. They just cleaned the blood. Ria walked forward as if the chaos were background noise. She didn't flinch when sparks dripped from an overloaded transformer beside her. She didn't shift when a scaly fist slammed a gate for attention. She didn't react to the smell, burned oil, rotting coolant, sweat, old fury. Her boots tapped the deck in a slow, steady rhythm. Her assigned cell in C block sat open for inspection. 4 walls of dented alloy, a narrow bunk, a bolted table, and not a single personal item. Just silence. She stepped inside, placed her palm on the cold table, then withdrew her hand like she had confirmed something invisible. She did not unpack. She had nothing to unpack. The first confrontation happened before she even reached the common hall. A shadow spilled across her path, massive, red-skinned, tusked, armored in patches of scavenged plating. A Vornach. They were built like walking fortresses and just as subtle. This one's name, carved across his chest plate, was Drellick. He was famous among the inmates for ripping a guard drone in half last cycle. And for collecting favors in the form of bones. He blocked her way with a slow, mocking grin. You lost, little mammal? His voice echoed down the corridor. The safe habitat is 6 sectors over. She looked at him once. Briefly. Then moved to walk around him. He shifted sideways, blocking her again. You hear me? He asked, louder this time. Or maybe your ears are too soft. Ria blinked once, slow and disinterested. I don't want trouble, she said quietly. Drellick's grin widened. You already found it. Around them, cell doors opened. Inmates spilled out like spectators scenting blood. A few made bets. A few jeered. A few simply watched, curious why a human would walk willingly into a Vornach's shadow. Ria stood still, eyes lowered, posture relaxed to the point of boredom. Drellick leaned down until his tusk grazed her shoulder. Say something, pray. She exhaled softly, almost a sigh. Not fear, reluctance. You should step back, she murmured. Laughter erupted. Metal boots stomped approval. Someone slapped a rail. Someone else shouted for Drellick to show her how Black Maw educates guests. Drellick cracked his knuckles, each pop echoing like a bone snapping. You threatening me, tiny thing? He growled. Ria looked up, not with challenge, not with fury, but with a flat, clinical detachment that made the nearest inmates quiet. I'm warning you, she said. You won't like how this goes. He barked a thunderous laugh, gripping the table beside her and crushing its edge with one hand. You think I'm afraid of a soft grav ape? Last human they sent here didn't even. Ria cut him off by inhaling slowly through her nose, like she was memorizing his scent. Your stance is wrong. Everything paused. Even Drellick blinked. What did you say? She spoke like reciting a fact from a textbook. Your center of mass is forward. Your left knee compensates for an old injury. Your right tusk is filed too sharp, It telegraphs your direction before you move. More silence. You're vulnerable, she finished. A few inmates leaned closer. Drelic's nostrils flared. Stand up. No. He grabbed her shoulder. He didn't get further. Ria touched him once. Her fingers brushed just under the ridge of his thick shoulder plate, finding a nerve cluster Vornach warriors guarded like treasure. A tiny shift of pressure, barely a movement, redirected his weight as he pulled. His arm went limp. The sudden imbalance sent the giant dropping to one knee before he could blink. Gasps erupted, but no one had time to process. Ria shifted her other hand. A precise, two-finger strike behind the jaw where the armored hinge met soft tissue. A deathworld nerve stop. Meant not to kill, but to erase mobility. A quiet, brittle crack echoed down the corridor. Drelic's face froze. His eyes widened. His legs collapsed underneath him as if the prison floor had liquefied. He hit the deck plate in a thunderous heap, armor clattering. He tried to stand. Nothing moved. Nothing at all. Ria didn't step away. She didn't stand. She didn't gloat. She simply watched his failed attempts with a calm, unreadable expression. You'll feel your limbs again in 28 to 32 hours, she said softly. Depending on circulation. Try not to panic before then. Every inmate stepped back. Every guard watching from the elevated booth reached instinctively for their weapons. Drelic, the monster of C-Block, lay on the floor gasping in disbelief, unable to move anything below his ribs. Ria turned away like she had merely closed the door. Her boots tapped the deck again, same steady rhythm. The hallway behind her stayed dead silent. Black Maw didn't laugh anymore. The silence around Ria didn't fade, it calcified. Word spread through Black Maw in minutes. Stories twisted and mutated as they traveled. The human crushed Drelic's spine. The human paralyzed him with one touch. The human whispered something that made his body shut down. No one agreed on the details, but everyone agreed on one thing. The Deathworld girl wasn't prey. She moved through the prison like a shadow that didn't obey lighting. In the machine shop she observed the malfunctioning loaders, then silently corrected their calibration before anyone noticed. In the mess hall she sat in the far corner, facing the wall, eating carefully, methodically, as if counting seconds between each bite. No one sat near her. No one even walked behind her. Except one person. A spindly, four-eyed creature named Jack. A scrap scavenger serving a 12-cycle sentence for smuggling reactor cores. He approached her table with shaking hands. Is it true? He whispered. Ria didn't look up. Probably not. Jack swallowed. They said you did something to Drelic's nerves. I did something different to his ego, she replied. Jack stared. You're not afraid someone will come after you? Ria finally turned her head. Not fast. Just enough. Someone will, she said. They always do. Later, the lights dimmed for artificial night. Black Maw entered its cold cycle, the air thinning slightly, pressure dropping to conserve energy. Most inmates curled into their bunks and tried to sleep through the metallic groans of the structure cooling. Ria sat cross-legged on her bunk, eyes closed, palms resting on her knees. Not meditating. Listening. Every deathworlder learned to read danger by its rhythm long before they learned to read words. The faint hitch in the ventilation fans. The shift in gravity that meant someone was walking too softly. The scrap of metal against metal. The breathing of someone 3 meters away trying too hard to be silent. 3 of you, she murmured. A whisper from the hall. Move. Something clanged. The cell door screeched open halfway before hitting resistance. Someone had overridden the locks but didn't disable the manual failsafes. The door remained wedged, just wide enough for shadows to spill inside. 3 figures stepped in. Not amateurs. Their movements were coordinated. Their steps staggered to mass direction. Their hands carried improvised weapons, a sharpened rail shard, a weighted chain, a plasma torch stolen from the maintenance bay. Ria didn't move. The first one spoke, voice filtered through a mask. You humiliated the wrong inmate, Deathworld girl. No, she said. I humiliated the right one. The chain swung toward her skull. She leaned sideways an inch. Just an inch. The chain ripped past her ear and smashed the wall, sparking as it struck the embedded power conduits. The torch wielder lunged next. He aimed low, trying to trap her on the bunk. Ria slid off the edge, letting the torch scrape the mattress. She grabbed the frame, pulled herself under it, and kicked upward once. The bunk slammed into the attacker's chin, snapping his mask straps and sending him staggering backward. The third swung the rail shard vertically. Ria rolled forward and rose into a crouch. Her fingers brushed the braided fiber around her wrist. 1 knot. 2. 3. She inhaled once, slow and steady, grounding herself with the familiar texture. The masked attackers regrouped. You think you're special? One spat. No, she said. I think you're predictable. The rail shard came for her throat. Ria stepped into it. Into it. Her forearm caught the attacker's wrist. Her hip twisted. Her hand rose, fingers positioning precisely between two of the alien's tendons. A soft click. The shard dropped as if gravity doubled. The attacker screamed, clutching his limp hand. The chain swung again. Ria pivoted, letting the weighted length wrap around her arm. She pulled, yanking the wielder off balance. As he fell, her knee met his jaw with a clean, brutal crack. He dropped. The torch wielder crawled away, bleeding from the temple. Ria crouched beside him. Stop, she said quietly. He froze. She reached out gently, almost tenderly, and shut off the plasma torch. Then she placed it on the floor beside him. You're breathing too fast, she said. Slow it or you'll pass out. He stared at her in terror. Ria turned to the others. You came to kill me, she said. But you didn't know why you were afraid. Now you do. She walked past them, stepped into the hallway, and leaned against the wall to give them space to escape. They scrambled out of her cell like smoke retreating from fire. The next cycle, the guards found all three in the infirmary, shaken but whole. No marks except bruises. No lethal wounds. No permanent injuries. Only fear. Enough that none of them spoke a word. By midday, Black Maw felt different. Inmates stepped aside as Ria passed. Some lowered their heads. Some whispered theories. But one rumor rose above the rest. She didn't stand up to break Drellick. She didn't stand to break the ambush. One day she will stand, and then the spire will shake. Ria ignored all of it. She entered the hydroponics bay, a sprawling greenhouse wrapped in flickering lamps and humming pumps. A place where inmates trimmed edible moss and harvested nutrient vines. A place no one fought because the oxygen systems depended on it. She walked to the far corner, touched the leaves of a tall, spiraling plant, and exhaled softly. The scent reminded her of something from home. Not comfort, memory. A memory she didn't want but carried anyway. Behind her, someone cleared their throat. Warden Straith. Tall, scaled, eyes like polished metal. Not a man who visited inmate work shifts. Human, he said. Walk with me. Ria followed him through a narrow service corridor until they reached a secured observation deck overlooking the prison interior. Below them, inmates moved like restless insects under glaring lights. Straith didn't turn when he spoke. You know why you're here? Because someone wanted me gone. No, he said. Because someone wanted to see what you are. She waited. Straith continued, voice measured. These last 36 hours, you've changed the spire. Fear spreads faster than blood. That wasn't my intention, she said. His metal eyes shifted toward her. Intent doesn't matter. Demonstration does. Ria's fingers traced the braided cord again. What do you want from me? Straith's crest lowered. A test, he said. A trial. Not of strength, of restraint. Ria's heartbeat didn't change. When? She asked. Now. The deck doors slammed shut behind them. Red alarms pulsed through the walls. Below, gates opened. Dozens of inmates poured into the central arena, armed, angry, manipulated by rumors shaped by fear they didn't understand. The warden stepped back. "Show them," he said, "what a deathworld girl really is." Ria stepped toward the railing. And for the first time since entering Black Maw, she stood